Okay, today I'm doing a video on creating a show flow. And I'm basing this on a case study, a recent event I did, and it was an award show. And okay, here we go. So, what is a show flow? Now, a show flow is different than a production schedule, which is all about load in and load out. The show flow is a detailed, minute by minute breakdown of your event from the moment the ballroom doors open to the moment the ballroom doors close. And the primary reason for the show flow is when you have a slightly more advanced event with several cues and a large production team, audiovisual and lighting. And the primary reason for this document is to let all of the crew know when their cues are. So that could be lighting, sound, special effects, all of that kind of stuff. So here I am, I've sped it up a bit, but I am actually started a brand new show flow from scratch, and I'm building it live for you, quickly. The first thing, like any document in the event industry, is at the top there. It's version control. For me, I will not look at a document if it doesn't have version control. Why? Because most of the time in our industry, there are several versions. A show flow might have 10 versions before it's the final version. You're going back and forth with production people and clients and sign off from stakeholders. So it's often version 10. So that's why version's important. When I first get to the event on show day, I tell everyone, okay, on the cue to cue, when we're ready to do rehearsals, what version of the show flow you have. And 10% of the time, someone's like, I have a version from 3 weeks ago. So that's when I have extra copies, and boom, there you go. Speaking of formatting and copies, so show flows, there's great software out there. A lot of people in our industry still go back to the good old Excel. And it's fine. Now, Excel is very, very amazing. You can do lots of things with Excel. I'm not really using all those features, but Excel is great. So here, what's important for me is page setup. This has to be legible. Think of that technician, a lighting person, backstage in the dark, having important cues. Think of that video person that is actually going to play that video. What file name is that video? That is crucial. And a lot of our file names in our industry get long. So there's a lot of detail that your team needs to see very clearly in the dark, perhaps backstage. So again, this is formatted for legal size, landscape, 14-point font size, and that's going to print out beautifully and everyone can see it. So at the top, you see some basic information, not as much information as other documents like the production schedule, but I do have the event name, the date, the venue, some vital, important phone numbers, not all. Why? Because maybe a technician that's doing lighting will receive this document as a PDF in their in tray the day before, and they have 3 of them. They're like 3 events, this event, that week. And they're like, oh, okay, this is that event, this venue. So I like to always reiterate the important details, like when the gig is, what venue it's at. Okay. So I often find that this process, again, this is an a case study of a recent award show I did. So when you're listening to the client, and you're getting their ideas, you need to ask all the granular detail, exactly what's happening and what do you envision at this event. So often what clients send me is, you see one here's an agenda. So I made up an agenda here. And this might be, once it's finally approved, printed out and put on the tables at the event, put into different publications. But that's often how I've found I work with an award show. So you're pulling that information from your client. Here we have their agenda. It's signed off. Great. Now, what our job is as a professional meeting event planner is to run and create and choreograph a beautiful award show. And it's often the little touches that make an experience for a guest a 5 to a 10. It's those little touches. So that's our job. And do those touches happen 7 seconds after they're supposed to? No, they have to happen in a nanosecond if you want to produce a good show. So a little bit again, going back, this is what I call a medium size award show, 300-400 people, ended up being maybe about 100 cues. So that's when you do need this level of detail. Saying that, this is not the most detailed show flow I've ever done. Sometimes you have 10 video screens and special effects and entertainment and cirque performers hanging from the ceiling. You have to have much more information. But for this one, we had 2 video screens with the same video signal. So both screens got the same signal. One screen per se, one source. And then we have audio. Most events, you always have audio. So here you can see in quick mode, I've taken all the data from the client and I've put it into the format that we see. Now, in the action, that should be exactly same as the client in their order. But what we've added is the details that we need to know. So there is an award presenter for each one of these 6 awards. There is an award winner. So there's 6 award winners. There is a president speaking, and then there's the MC speaking. And then what's important again is the information here for the screens and the audio. So some of these acronyms and what I'm showing you here at the top there, you see BGM. What is that? That's background music. Here's a sample. I'll play some background music. This is often longer running. It might go for a whole reception or 2 minutes during photos or whatever. Background music. Then there is wireless. You can see wireless microphone. So we on this event, our MC has a wireless microphone. And we are using a lectern microphone. So for audio, we have 2 audio sources. Quite simple. A wireless lavalier microphone for the MC. Why? Because the MC wants the room around, have their hands going. So with a wireless mic, they can be anywhere, on the stage and be able to speak when we push up the levels for that microphone. For this show, it's quite simple. Everyone else went to the podium and spoke into the lectern, and we had a lectern microphone there. So audio was quite simple. In the audio department, you'll see 2 other things. We had VO, which stands for voiceover. And essentially, this is what I'm doing right now is a voiceover. Voiceovers can be done 2 ways: live with a microphone at the tech table. And that is always nice to have no matter what. For in case of emergencies, you have a microphone. Ladies and gentlemen, there's a problem, whatever, emergency. But a lot of people do voiceovers live. Ladies and gentlemen, please welcome, etc. I like to pre-record my VOs because there's a lot of things going on in events. So you can see there for this event, we created 1 voiceover. And a voiceover is often scripted words and it's custom, introducing the MC. And so we did 1 voiceover, and I'm going to play an example of a voiceover for you. And then we have a bumper, and that's the last thing we'll talk about. And a bumper is just a little bit of music. And as I said, it's those small touches. So we have a bumper usually for every presenter that's coming on stage. And as I said, it makes a world of difference in the energy in the ballroom, because it often takes seconds to a minute in a huge ballroom for when that person is awarded that great award. They're walking up, they're shaking hands, and bum bum ba dum bum, have some great music is a huge thing. So you'll see bumpers there. Little side note, where can you get bumpers? People ask me, and I'm like, there's a lot of great resources, royalty free. You want to be careful of, like Pond5, and there's a whole bunch of stock sources out there to get your bumpers. And again, a bumper is an audio file, 30 seconds long, 15 seconds long, as a WAV file that you can use at the event. So, and then of course there's the notes field. That's the last section. There we might have cues for the assistant stage manager, which was me in this case. And it's like, you always want to be 1 step ahead. So when it's presentation award 2 is happening, I'm looking around for the presenter for the award number 3. I may know who the winner is ahead of time for that award. I would like to know where they're sitting in the ballroom in case there's any issues. So all those kind of details can be in the notes section. Quickly, I didn't talk about it yet. In Excel, I don't use many of the formulas, but of course you can see, hopefully I did use some formulas, the equals. So when I change the timing, it changes everything. Because once you get going into your show flow, and if you have a complex show flow and you have to up that first presentation from 2 minutes to 3 minutes, you don't want to manually change all those times. So working with formulas in Excel, I didn't use them here. You can do that. So it's a formula, so it all changes for you. So there's a look at creating a show flow.